auth service. But this is going to be a little more complicated because, first of all, there's a lot more happening in the auth service. And second, we have a lot of services that are injected into the auth service that we then call on, okay? But the cool thing is that we've already tested all of these services and all of the methods within those services. So we're gonna mock them instead of actually using them, because all we wanna do is we wanna test this functionality. We don't need to test that this user service find user by username works, because we've already tested that. Hopefully that makes sense. So we're gonna mock it instead. I've not tried this before, but apparently, says this article, we can use this package here, go level up TSJust, in order to create deep mocks easily. And that sounds pretty good to me. So let's see if we can kind of find a good example. I can't really find a good example in here, but we might be able to find a good example in the article that I was just reading. Okay, so the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to install it, this package. Okay, and then the next thing I'm going to do is clear my terminal. Okay, so I went ahead and installed the package. So now I'm going to take a look. So here they are doing an example Pokemon service that uses an HTTP service. So we're going to try the same thing, but with one of our services. So let service equal auth service. Okay, so now let's try let users service, and then we're going to say deep mocked users service, and then save it. Deep mocked is going to come from here, so we're going to import it. All right. And now it's just mad that we're not using it. Okay, so then here we want to say users service is equal to module dot get users service. All right, now what is wrong? It's assigned a value and then never used. So let's do expect user service to be defined. Nope. All right, so now it is not mad at us anymore. Okay, so it feels like we are on the right track. I'm going to try to run the test for this file to see what errors pop up. Obviously a lot of them. So the first thing it's saying is it within the, so it can't find src.users.user service. Let's rerun it and see if we get a new error. Oh, so all of these are SRCs too. So we need to, all right. I just switch all of these while I'm here. Okay, let's rerun that test. All right, so now it's saying it can't find node malware within SRC where it, all right, so it's complaining here. I'm not really sure I understand this one. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to comment out this mail service and anything that uses the mail service for now. And that is kind of a good way to, like, if things get a little bit too complicated and you want to focus on something else, that is kind of something you can do. So do we even? All right, so here we're going to be using it. So I'm going to go ahead and comment that function out. All right, so everything's commented out. So let's now rerun the test and see what errors we get. All right. Perfect. So we can't resolve the dependencies, but if you notice, it's not mad about user service. It just is mad now about project service, feature, and so on. So to be honest, this feels like a win. So I'm going to kind of keep it on with this game plan then. So project service, let's do deep mocked projects service. And then let's import it. Then let's go ahead and switch it to kind of a relative path. And then let's add a test using it so it's not mad at us. Okay. And let's move on to features. All right, and then let's change this here. And then let's say expect feature service to be defined. All right, so now I'm gonna rerun my test. Obviously, we're still gonna get an error, but if we're on the right track, which maybe we are not. Okay, so then it looks like we also need to add this part here. All right. Let's give that a try. So then within the providers, we're gonna have auth service, but then we're also going to have provide user service, use value, create mock users service. Okay, so then let's add the same thing for projects service. All right, and then let's add the same thing for features service. All right, I'm going to rerun the test, see if we get any different error having added that. All right. All right, so now it looks like it's mad about user story service, so I feel like we are moving up. I think we're making progress. So basically the way I kind of check things is I slowly but surely take a look at whether or not my error is changing. If my error is changing as I'm writing code, I kind of feel less stressed out about the code that I'm writing because I know that it's affecting something. Now, this might not be perfect. We might still have a lot of debugging afterwards, but it at least kind of makes me feel like we're doing something and we're on the right track. All right, and then we are going to expect user story service to be defined. Okay, and then we have tasks service. right, and then let's copy this to add tasks service in, and then let's add an expect block for task service to be defined. All right, and then one more, that JWT service. I don't know why I'm writing that. JWT service. All right, let's copy this. I'm going to be very happy if this magically works the first time. I'm going to not be surprised if it does not work the first time or even the second time, and that's okay because we are actually learning a lot, and that is the goal. Okay, so now that we have everything maybe set up, we still fail, but that's okay. So we failed because of this SRC that we didn't change. Let's try again, but we didn't get the same import error. So interesting. Expect project service to be defined, and it's not. I'm curious if it's not defined because it is mocked. So what happens if I comment all of these out? And was it just the project one that wasn't defined, or is it all of them that aren't defined? Oops. Let's take a look. All right, so that passed. So now I'm gonna kind of one by one, I'm gonna take a look at these because my goal right now is just to really understand what I'm doing. So interesting, so user service is defined. But project service comes back as not defined. Now let's try it with project service. Failed. All right, so I'm gonna keep project statuses commented out. I'm gonna try to comment another one in though. I'm gonna move that down. I don't know if that had any. Interesting, so features service. So somehow user service is defined, but the rest of them are not. So I'm trying to first see if we have any issue. Oh, because I didn't do this. Okay. It's always something. It's always user error. It's never as difficult as you think it's going to be. Okay, so basically I started actually going and getting the module here and defining it, and that's why it stops at user service. So now we can do project service is equal to module.get project service. Then we can do feature service is equal to module.get feature service. User story service is going to be equal to module.get user story service. Task service is going to be equal to module.get task service. And then JWT service is going to be equal to module.get JWT service. All right, so now let us try to run this test and see what happens. And whoop, 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 whoop. We are defined. All right, so that's pretty exciting. So we kind of are set up. We still have an issue with the mail service. I'm gonna look into that later because we only use the mail service in one of our methods here. So it's not going to inhibit us too much as we kind of go on and start testing. But yeah, I mean, I think that's pretty exciting. So far, so good. I will end the video here and we'll start the next one up. We're actually starting to go through these functions.